Hello friends, welcome back to Program with Akshay, and this is again a continuation of our AWS CDK Masterclass. And in this video we are going to see the CRUD operations with DynamoDB. In this particular video we are going to see how we are going to save the item into DynamoDB. Okay, so in this case we have the app.dynamo.js, and inside the app.dynamo.js we have something called as item as hello world. Consider this is as an item which we are trying to save into DynamoDB. Okay, so let's start. So to begin with, we are trying to modify this app.dynamo.js, and we are returning a status code header and body. So we will try to format this handler, and to do that we are going to comment this. Okay, and we are going to send us a response, okay, and which will have status, body and headers, and we are going to get that response. Okay, so we will try to create a response. So to create a response, I will try to create a variable send response, and which will have status and a body, and which we are having. And inside that we will have something called as response, where I will create a variable as response, and inside the response I will pass status code as status. We can change this later, and then inside that we will pass headers, and we have something called as headers, and inside headers we can pass something called as content hyphen type as application JSON. Yep. And inside that we will pass body. Right now I am returning a body, and it will return that response. Okay, so we are trying to modify this send response object. So we will send the response which is having a status as like suppose 200, a body and headers. Okay, now we are trying to return. Okay, so to return this object, okay, we will try to return this. So we will see how to return, and we will return our status code, and maybe we will try to return as hello world. Okay, so we are trying to return a status code and hello world. Okay, yes, and yeah, so our return object is done. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to do the some CRUD operations, okay, like get, put, post and delete. Okay, to do the CRUD operation we need to create those objects, okay, to do the CRUD operation. In our case, in this example, if you see, we have something called as, in the previous videos we have something called as task, to do daily task, and inside the to do daily task we something called as are having task, which is the actual task and the respective IDs. Okay, so we will try to create this object, okay, through inside the DynamoDB handler, and we will try to like put or to post the items into the DynamoDB. Okay, so we will try to create an async function, and like inside the async function we will pass the data, and after passing the data we will try to put that item inside the DynamoDB. Okay, so to begin with we will try to create a function, async function. Okay, and we will say save daily tasks. Okay, and which will have some data. Yes, and inside that we will try to have like last modified time or last modified date and time. So we will try to save that object like date and time. Okay, so we will try to pass new date here, and we will try to pass as const time data dot get time. Yes, and now the actual implementation, what we are going to do, we are going to pass our daily tasks, and which will have something called as ID. Assume it is as ID, and we have something called as time dot to string. Okay, so what it is going to do here, so this will basically will create an unique identification number, something called as like 334456 7 every time a new record is inserted. Okay, and we will try to insert the daily task now. So to insert that, we will something have like tasks. We have something called as task, and inside that task we will have something called as data dot tasks. Okay, or yeah, tasks. Correct. And now what we are going to do, by whom it has been inserted. So by data dot by. Okay, so yeah, this is the actual implementation of inserting the async function of calling of or inserting the data into the DynamoDB. Now what we are going to do, we are trying to insert that data. Okay, to insert the data, we will specify the parameter, like suppose parameter, and we will specify the table name first, table name as my underscore table. Yeah, so and after that we will specify the item, and the item will be your this daily task. Okay, and that's about it. Now what we are going to do, we are trying to return this DynamoDB object. Okay, so we will try to return DynamoDB dynamo dot put param, then it will have a promise. Yes, promise, and it will have a then function, and inside the then function it will try to return your object. Okay, so we will try to return para. Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, we are done with our CRUD operations. Okay, so we have sent the response, and after sending the response we are creating an object, okay, like the daily task object for save daily functions. Okay, we have async functions where we are passing the date, the time, and the whole complete object of daily task, which is id, which is our partition key in this case, and we have something called as task, and we are passing the parameters to save those data into the DynamoDB. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create routes. Okay, now return, what is I'm returning, returning the send response. Okay, send response. Yeah, return send response, and let's save this file. And yes, so if you see the working of our gateway, of our API gateway, or when we are trying to hit any API through Postman, we have something called as the curl or the URL slash to do's. So this is a get URL. Okay, and when you are trying to update or delete an item, so the URL will be like suppose 12345. So this is an update. Okay, and when you're trying to delete an item, okay, or when you're trying to delete a particular ID, suppose 345, and delete, or when you're trying to post an item or to insert an item, we have something called as to do's, like to do's slash or post. Okay, so how the API gateway will know which route to be called, okay, whether it is get, update, delete, and post. Okay, so we already have the resources been created. Okay, so we have something called as resource, okay, where we are trying to attach the add method to our main path, and it is trying to get the resources from the lambda, and when we are trying to fetch the resources from the DynamoDB or the data from the DynamoDB. Okay, but the thing is how we are trying to identify which part to be called. Like suppose if we try to get the call, or we wanted to get all the details of our daily task, we need to route to this path. If we're trying to update the path, we need to route to this path, or delete or post. Okay, so in this case we are going to use like HTTP methods, okay, for routing. Okay, and where we are trying to extract the path from the URL, and from the URL we are trying to pass that event body, and after passing the event body we are going to switch those routes. Okay, inside this handler. Okay, so to do that, we something already have an event object. Okay, when we are passing the event, and inside the event object, if you see the event object which we have already seen, now if you see to go to console, and inside the console we have something called as lambda, and inside the lambda we have something called as CloudWatch logs. If you see the monitor section, we have REST API already been created, and inside that we have monitor section, and inside the monitor section we have CloudWatch logs. And if you see the CloudWatch logs, we have like event is triggered, okay, and we are passing that logging into the CloudWatch. Let it get loaded. So yes, it is loading CloudWatch, and if you see, we have something called as event is triggered, which we are logging, and we are trying to pass the whole event object, which is having HTTP method, headers, and the body. Okay, so we will try to use this resource, and we will try to use this HTTP method where we will try to navigate the routes inside our handler. Okay, so to do that, what we are going to do, which we are going to create a path. Okay, let me create a variable first. Suppose let path is equal to event dot resource resource, yes, and let me declare a method http method, and which is again having event.http method, yes, and we are going to concat the route. Okay, so let route is equal to http method dot concat, which will have a space. I will explain you why it will have a space. Then it will have dot concat again, and the actual path. Okay, put this 3 lines above here. Okay, so our path will be like this. So our path will be get to dos. So it will have a space here after get method and our to dos. Okay, so that is why we have written concat. Okay, so after this, what we are going to do, we are going to pass this JSON body. We need to extract this body from the event. Okay, to do that, what we are going to do, we will create an object, and inside the object we will parse this whole body, or to yeah, and we will write a try catch method now here, so that if there is any error we can log those. Correct. So try catch error, yes, and inside the try catch I am going to write a switch statement. Okay, so to do that we are going to do a switch statement here. We are going to write a switch statement here. So switch, what we are going to switch, route. Okay, so we are going to write a switch statement for a route, and inside that what we are going to write a case, like what the case will be, get slash to do's. What is the exact name? To do, yeah, slash to do. Okay, and what it is, it will have an body. Correct, it will have a body, and inside that body, which will have, suppose, await. Oh, no quotation. Just a minute. Await, for example, list of to do, list to do, which is which we are listing, or which we are getting all the list, like task number 1, task number 2, and so on. Okay, so after this we need to put a double quote, yes. So we will try to create list to do, okay, list object, okay, or list to do method, and we will try to list all the codes. Okay, so to do that we will try to create a function. Okay, so to create a function we have something called as, for save, we will try to create an async function again, just like save, async function, and which will list to do. Correct, and it will have something called as return and what we are trying to return, we are going to return the list of objects. Okay, so let me put a break statement here. After this, break this, and after break, we are going to write another case for post case for post, and let me put a space here, and we will have something called as post space slash our function name or our route name. So here route name is to do, and double colon, and after double colon, what we are going to do, mistake here, it doesn't have, yes, and after what we are going to do, we are going to return a body, and inside the body we are trying to save the to do application, save daily tasks, correct, save daily task, and it is having data as parameter. Yep, so we already have created save daily tasks, and we are trying to return those. Okay, now we will try to list the to do application. We will try to modify this list to do. Okay, we already created a we have already created a case statement for get and post. Okay, and what we are going to do, which we have already written a save daily task and list to do task. Okay, now let's put a break statement here again. Save this file, and yeah, so if you notice, we are written the case statement for get post, and inside the post we have passing the data object. So the data which we are which we are getting, which we are passing from the event body. Okay, and we are trying to save that data, okay, in the save daily function, and we are passing this as parameter, and we are saving those in that DynamoDB. Okay, and we are returning this get and post call. Okay, we can write for other calls. Okay, for like for delete and for update. We can see this implementation in the upcoming videos. Now what we are going to do, we are going to write the default or the default implementation. Okay, like if it is an unsupported error, and we will try to log those error in the console, like if there is any exception occurs, and then when the finally we are trying to return those whatever the execution of the code is happening. Okay, so to do that, what we are going to do, okay, first if you observe, we are not returning any body right now. Okay, so let me try to declare a variable like let body, okay, and status code. Okay, status code as 200 maybe, yes. So if there is any body here, whatever we are getting the body from the event, we are trying to like the creating the variable or and passing that variable inside this await list.todo or await save daily task. Okay, now we will try to do the default implementation or default, like if it is an unsupported route, default throw new error or new implementation error as unsupported route, correct, and we are going to see here as dollar route default, yes, correct. And why it is giving me this error? Yeah, so yeah, so it is unsupported route. Now let's try to catch the errors. So to catch the errors, we will do a console log error, and inside that what we are going to do, we are going to return a status code, suppose 500 or 400, status code as 400, and after that we are trying to return a body, and inside the body we will have error dot messages. So each body will have a different error messages, correct, and we will try to return those in finally statement. So we have something called as final statement, yes, we have semicolon, semicolon, and we will try to write finally, and inside that we will try to do a console.log. We'll try to return that body, and we will try to stringify that body JSON object dot stringify the whole body object. So yeah, that's about it. So we have written a try catch block, and inside the catch block we are trying to log an exception. Okay, if there is an exception, we are trying to log into the CloudWatch. Okay, and then we are returning a status code with the body and the error message, and in the final statement we are executing the actual body, and this is the switch statement. Depending upon the route, when we are typing the URL like get, post, update and delete, we will try to update those implementations in the upcoming videos. And we have returned the event which we are getting from the async and the context from the handler, and we are trying to map those path and the HTTP methods, and we are trying to concat those, so we will get this actual route. Okay, so in the upcoming video we will try to see how to implement the rest of the CRUD operations. Like we are still pending with update and delete and get a particular to do ID. Okay, so in the upcoming video we will see all the CRUD operations. If you see, we are still pending with this implementation of list to do. We are returning a blank item. Okay, so in the next video we will see all the CRUD operations where we are trying to insert all the objects into the DynamoDB. So stay tuned. Happy learning and have a great day.